Hey there, welcome back. I'm Shanta Jackson, and again, my purpose in life is to help people to help themselves and others. And during our last session, we focused on positive affirmations. And before we move on to the next topic, I want to remind you that the purpose of journaling is to help you to reverse your negative emotions. Let's make it a common practice to practice and say positive statements about ourselves and our lives. As a daily practice for the next week, I want you to write down 3 positive affirmations on a piece of paper and read them out loud so that you can hear your words. And then tape them on your bathroom mirror or your bathroom door so that you can see your words. The positive affirmation that I read during the last session is the second journal entry in my book. And now I'd like to focus on the power of storytelling, owning your own story. But before I share details about my personal story, I'd like to read the introduction of the topic to my first journal entry. Owning your story, the power of storytelling. As humans, we all face some type of adversity in our lives, and as hard as it seems in the moment and even after, we are resilient. I'm resilient, you're resilient. The purpose of this first journal entry is to help you understand the importance of telling and owning your personal story as a way to help yourself and others. Telling your story also helps you find peace within and establishes your voice. Be heard. I'll begin with one of my stories of resilience that I consider a turning point in my life. And as I mentioned in the previous session, in my book, I wear 2 hats. I'm the advisor, the coach, and that's what I just did when I read to you the introduction of Owning Your Story, the power of storytelling. And in this book, I do share my personal story that I consider to be a turning point in my life. And I won't read this verbatim to you, but I will take a chance and share this journal entry with you because I figured that this could be beneficial. And so I tell this because I want you to own your story, and I want you to understand the power of having your voice and the power of owning your story as well, because it's a part of who you are. But I also share this journal entry because it's a story of domestic violence. And I know that there are a lot of people, men and women, who are in the same situation that I was in. And I want to model to you that if I can do it, so can you. And so in my book, I share the story of when I was 19 years old. I was 19 years old in Chicago, second semester of my freshman year, and I had a boyfriend, and my boyfriend was 25, I was 19, and he had 5 children. And I married him when I was 21. And this was the nicest person to me and the meanest person to me at the same time. It was an unhealthy relationship, an unbalanced relationship. And so I'm 21 with 5 stepchildren, and I'm in this marriage for a few years. And my son was maybe 2 weeks before his first birthday. My then husband, myself, my son, and my 2 stepdaughters, and my mother-in-law, we went on a road trip. We went on a road trip from Chicago to Atlanta. And on the way back from that road trip, I was riding in the back seat with the kids, and I wanted to take a break and sit up front. And that's what adults do. We share responsibilities. And I sat in the front seat, and he shooed me like shh, like as if I were a kid. And so a lot of things had transpired during that trip as well. So, for example, during that trip, he hit me, and I was holding my son, and I didn't know that he was going to hit me. And then after he hit me, my son hit me as well. And so by the time we're in the car, and that shoe motion, it triggered me, and I was just done. I was done with the relationship. I was done with the marriage. I was over it. And I said, F you. And I didn't say F you. I actually said the words. So I said, F you. And then that upset him. And he talked to me. So we're driving in the car. I'm in the back seat. I'm on the phone with my mother, and my mother hears him the way he's speaking to me. And my mother is just advising me not to say anything. And everyone in the car is crying except for him and myself and my son. So his daughters are crying and his mother is crying. That's how bad he's talking to me. And so we finally made it to Chicago, to his mother's house. And I coincidentally had a plane ticket that day to go back home to Las Vegas because I was preparing to celebrate my son's first birthday party in Las Vegas. And I eventually convinced his mother to take me to the airport, and she did. And mind you, we were just coming back from a road trip. And so I had 3 pairs of dirty clothes from that road trip. And I had my son, a car seat, and $200. That's all that I had. I never had the opportunity to go to my home, to pack my clothes, to get my personal items, social security cards, tax records, jewelries, sentimental pictures, anything. I never had the opportunity to properly pack my things and plan my exit and my return home back to Las Vegas. And eventually we tried to make it work. He ended up coming to Las Vegas for a while, and we stayed together for about 2 or 3 months. And the last day that we were ever together, I slept in the bed with my shoes on because I was not allowed to leave the house the day before. And the next day he went somewhere. Maybe he went to get something to eat. I'm not sure. And I snuck out of the house. I was a loan officer and a real estate agent at the time. And I only had enough time to grab my business cards. And again, my son and my car seat in my car, and I left. That's the second time I left my home, did not pack anything. But I eventually, just a short 2 weeks later, I ended up moving and moving into my own condo and moving on with the rest of my life. And so I share that story again because if I can do it, then so can you. And if this situation doesn't pertain to you, if I can do it, so can someone else. If I can do it, so can someone else that you care about. And so that's my personal story. Again, it's there is power in storytelling. So at this time, I challenge you. I challenge you to grab your pen and own your story and embrace the power of storytelling. So this is your prompt. Go ahead and get your pen and your journal. All right. So your journal entry, owning your story, the power of storytelling. What is your backstory? What life events marks the path for where you are today? Have you displayed resilience? Rather, how have you displayed resilience?